My goal right now, what I would like to do is to start by block sanding the hood. The car is buffed with compound and polish, and it looks pretty good. Welcome back to another episode of Broke From Here, guys. If you are new to the channel and you like seeing cars go from being worth $500 to $5,000 in a short amount of time, then you're in the right place. Make sure to go down, smash the subscribe button, and click the notifications bell so you get alerted for every new episode. Also, if you're new to the channel, we've previously been working on my 2005 Hyundai Tucson that I picked up for $700. I got it that cheap because when I bought it, the whole clear coat was destroyed on the car. I ended up spray painting it out here, putting new clear coat down on it. It also came with an engine that was out of time, and upon further inspection, we found out that the guy who tried to replace the head gasket and also did that incorrectly as well. So we ended up putting another head gasket on it, but in the last episode, we buttoned everything up, got it running for the first time since I took it all apart, and it's finally running correctly. The timing is dead on, the thing purrs. I'm so happy. I do think there's still a small pinhole exhaust leak. I think I might have to weld up the exhaust flex pipe. I just heard it this morning. It's really not that bad, but it's just tiny little bit extra. Something sounds like it might be there. Not positive. I could weld everything and it'd be fine. But my goal for today is to finally block sand this thing down and hopefully get to buffing in this episode. Not sure how long the block sanding is going to take me. I do know I have to be careful and precise and do it correctly. I'm sure in the videos this car looks a heck of a lot better to those who have been watching, and it does. I mean, overall, compared to how I bought it and how this is right now, I could easily sell it for $2,000, but it's still pretty rough. And I think even my brother saw it while he was visiting this week. It looks really cool from afar, but up close, and I don't know if you guys can see it, there's still a lot of haziness in places where the paint looks really good, nice clear coat, and then there's like this faded sprinkle of clear coat, and that's kind of all over. When it was first wet, it looked really good, but after it dried, it cured for a few days, I could start to see how much of the clear coat just kind of fanned out and spread out thin little layers. So my goal right now, what I would like to do is to start by block sanding the hood. I think first I'll probably start with 1500 grit, then move up to 2000, then maybe 3000, and then give it a buff. But I think first I'm just going to do the sanding over the whole car and see how it goes. But before I do any of that, I first need to run to Harbor Freight, I want to grab like one of those little water sprayers. I'm sure if you've watched any other like car detailing videos or paint shop videos, they always have like these little handheld sprayers, hold like a half gallon of water, something like that. I want to grab one of those to wet sand with. I also need to grab some sandpaper. So I need to grab the 1500 grit, and I think I have 2000 here, but I at least need to stop by the paint store and get the sandpaper and probably some blocks. I have an old one, but it's a different style and it partly broke, so there's nails sticking out of it. Sounds weird, but just dangerous. It's not gonna last a whole day of me sanding. So I'm gonna go there quick, grab those blocks, and then I'll get started once I get back. See you in a bit. All right guys, I am back from the store. I ended up going to the paint shop and Harbor Freight, grab some sandpaper at Harbor Freight. I also was able to grab the squirt bottle that I wanted. I also grabbed some refrigerant for the Mustang. It was getting real hot and I kept like losing AC a little bit at a time. I'm sure everyone's been through that. But finally, I just decided to grab a can quick and throw it in. Felt so good to have AC again. I stopped by the paint store to grab some blocks. I have this old school style in here somewhere. from Harbor Freight, but it busted half of it. So there's like nails here that's supposed to hold on the sandpaper. And it busted a while ago, and I've been dodging those nails when I sand. So I decided to invest in some actual sand blocks. I also got 1500 grit sandpaper along with, I think I have 2000 here. I talked to the guy. I originally thought I needed to do 800, 1200, 1500, then buff. But he said with the style of spray paint and that it's not actual clear coat, that this is probably my safest bet. So we're gonna do 1500 to 2000. And I'm gonna start with the hood just because I think it's gonna be the easiest to work on. Just because it's hip level, I can just kind of learn how it's all coming off. If I have to work it really hard, if it's pretty easy. Basically just get the technique down and then I can move on everywhere else. I should probably do the roof first because of that. You know what, I'm gonna start with the roof just in case I screw anything up. It's the last place you'll see. You're gonna see the doors, the hood, the trunk, much more than you'll ever see the roof. So I'm actually gonna start here, kind of learn my technique, see how it's all going, and then I'll move down to different spots. So first thing is gonna be 1500, then 2000, then maybe I'll move into 3000 from there, and then I'll probably leave the buffing until I have the whole car done. So I'm gonna get started with that. Talk to you guys in a bit. All right guys, the roof is done and I do believe it to be probably one of the worst spots. So I'm happy I got that one out of the way. I learned a lot. I think 1500 is a little too light. I think 1000 is a little too harsh. All back here I started with 1500 and there's not too much to clean, but it was a lot of working. So I really didn't get too much done with a lot of work. But then up here I dropped it to 1000 after learning that, and because there's a lot more kind of like bubbles surface here, so I dropped it down, knocked it down a lot. It looks pretty good. One of the places that I learned the most was burning through this little spot, which sucks because out of the whole place I could have screwed up, it's like the one directly in front where you're gonna see first. Oh well, it is what it is. But I think what I'm gonna do on this side, because this side's pretty good, there's definitely some little blending spots, but there's not a lot to eat up. The places that I do need to eat up, like down here, I think I'm just gonna use like a 1200 grit for those areas because it's not too bad. Everything else is pretty nice. So I think I'm gonna bring it all the way up to 2 grand for the rest of them. Yeah, any place where I see like a harsh blend, I'll probably do 1200, then 1500. Maybe even start at 1500. We'll see what 1500 does. Basically, I'm gonna do the driver's side next, kind of see how it all goes, what I can learn on this side. I think I'm gonna leave the hood for last because it has the most imperfections out of the car. And it's mostly just from sanding out all the crud before it. It's kind of wavy. There's a lot of little dimples and stuff in it. So I think I'm gonna save that for last, learn as much as I can on everywhere else where I can do the least amount of damage or at least have the least amount of impact. So anyway, I'm gonna get started with the driver's side. See you guys in a bit. All right guys, I ended up doing the whole driver's side and I did learn a little bit more. I tried to start off light, but it ended up taking a long time. I should have started out with 1000, cut down everything, went to 1500, then went up to 2000, 3000, so on. But it did come out really nice. Like, this is all extremely flat. I can't even believe how good it feels. Like, I have no question that this is gonna buff out really nice. And I know there's a trick, in fact, let me try quick, that if you spray this with a little water, you can kind of see what it's gonna look like. Yeah, so yeah, once this is all done, I'm completely completely in the belief that this is gonna buff out extremely well. Now that I've done that, I am kind of questioning how good the top's gonna come out. Certain sections are gonna come out really nice, but most of it I'm honestly not too worried about. It's the top. You're not really gonna see it. As long as there's a good sheen on it, you won't really even notice. But now it is time to do the passenger side. Passenger side seems to be a little better, but I do think some of this, yeah, most of the top of the doors are good. In here, I know there's some messiness. I screwed up something. Yeah, I can see it right here. But all this isn't even that bad. It's not gonna be too hard to knock down. Over here, I definitely saturated it. There's like a bunch of thick layers because I was doing that test spot here. I just wanted to see what everything looked like. So this is actually, this clear coat right here is beautiful. This is like perfect. Everything else around it is pretty thin comparatively. The front fender, I was starting to run out here, so I know I probably have to be a little light on that fender, but I'm just gonna get cracking at it, guys. I don't think I'm gonna finish this tonight. It's already like 6:30. The sun is almost down. I don't know if you guys can see that. So I'm probably getting like 40 minutes until this is done, but I'm gonna go at it until dark, and then I'm gonna pick this up in the morning. So that's my goal. Let's get at it.
Just another sunny day in Southern California. It's where the people came to play. Don't let them transform you. Oh, come and see what you've been missing on a little slice of heaven. It's the only place we're living. It's that West Coast point of view. Easy when it's always summertime for you and I.
All right, guys, it's the next morning. I ended up finishing up the whole passenger side of the Tucson, and oh, thanks. You like it? Sorry, that was corny. Guys, this is some of the merch. So one of them will be a coffee mug that is just a big Broke Premier logo on the front. I ended up making this shirt, which is just a basic logo. And just to give you guys an idea of kind of how these all fit, I'm about 6'4", probably around 240 right now. And it's kind of a slim fit. It's an extra large on me. So they're kind of like a thin athletic build, but I like the quality of the shirts. They're so smooth, they're kind of soft, and they're light. I like light cotton, I like it to breathe. I don't like to be sweating in my shirts. So this particular style, I just really like it. I think it's gonna be soft, comfortable. But if you like the baggy style, I would say to try to order a size up, just because it's definitely more of a slim fitting shirt. I also made a second mug for everyone who makes fun of me about the Let's Get At It. This also comes with the Broke Premier logo on the other side. I think these are 16-ounce mugs. They're pretty big. It's a pretty hefty mug. I mean, if you imagine I'm 6'4", I got a pretty big hand, so they're pretty big size. And then I also got another shirt. So this again is a Let's Get At It shirt. Everyone was making fun of my little phrase there. I've been trying not to say it so much more since then. But yeah, I did end up making a shirt. And then this one actually comes with the Broke Premier logo on the sleeve. And then I also have some stickers. So this is just the basic logo. It's kind of cut out around the actual name, as a white background on it. And then I have Let's Get At It sticker as well. And I know a lot of you have asked me where the name has come for Broke Premier, and I haven't ever really explained about it. But basically when I first came up with the name, I was thinking of something that reminded me of what I wanted to do eventually, and that was Top Gear. I hope I don't get like demonetized because of that, but I always loved Top Gear growing up. I always said if I had to work for someone, that would be my job. I love that the guys got to go on little adventures, and yeah, they had to do like the comedic kind of fake part. I don't really like the fake part of it, but I just love the adventure, and I wanted to always make real adventures like that. So my original goal was to do like a fake twist on that and call it Broke Gear, meaning I'm broke trying to do Top Gear. Kind of a fun little twist on it. After searching out that name a few times, it looks like there's about 4 or 5 other people who thought the same thing, and all of them were shut down. So I'm guessing they probably got a cease and desist letter, and I just didn't want to be tied up in any of that. I liked the sound of Top Gear, Broke Gear. I kind of wanted to find a word that rhymed with gear, so I found Premier. Broke Premier is what I ended up on. And my thought was, I'm going to take cars that are broken, while I'm broke, and turn them into something premier. We're not quite there, we're still on low-end flips, but my goal is to eventually do things like Lamborghinis and things of high end of that sort, and then have some fun adventures once we build them out. by that point, I'm sure I'll have a little extra cushion where I'm okay to take one episode and go rip on the car before I sell it. So that's really the goal. It's kind of where the name was all born from. So anyone who's been wondering, I figured I never told you. It's like, I think we're on episode 73 or 74 now, and I've never explained it to you guys. So for those of you that are wondering, that's where the name came from. And as far as the merch, guys, I'm not trying to shove you down the throat. This felt so weird even trying to show you all this. I don't even know how to do it. I was gonna make a joke about it just being on me and me saying thank you, I do look good, kind of joke silly like that, but it just feels so awkward. It feels too weird to even put out there, but I know some of you guys have been wanting to support, so I finally went through with it, had some logos designed, built a website, everything's ready. So if you guys do want to purchase it, again, I'm not trying to shove this down your throat. In fact, I wouldn't have even taped this as soon as I did had I not just had to push through, because the missus kept stealing my mug and using it, and I was afraid, because she's a little klutzy here and there, that she'd end up breaking the one cup that I need to do this little showing. So I had to do this, and that's why I mentioned it in the last episode. I had to get this done before she ends up using it and busting it on me. It would just be the luck for both of us that it happens right before I need to tape for it. So anyway, all this will be in the link down in the description below, brokepremiere.com. As far as I know, everything should be up and running good. I've done a couple test runs. I've ordered through the site myself, so it should work pretty good. For all of you that want to show the sport, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. But what I would like to do right now is to finish sanding down the Tucson. So basically all the big parts are done. All I have to do is the hood and the trunk. I think I've learned a lot about what I'm gonna need to do, and I don't think I'm too worried now about screwing it up. I think I really got a good rhythm last night working on the passenger side as to what needs 1,000, what needs 1,500, 1,200, 2,000, and so on. The hood, I think, is going to be the hardest just because there's the most just kind of valleys and dips, and I sprayed a ton extra on it just to make sure it was good. I think the trunk will probably be the easiest because I don't think there's too much overspray or blending on the trunk at all. So anyway, guys, I'm gonna get started with that. See you in a bit. All right, guys, I am done with the trunk. I am realizing the warmer the panel is, the more that comes off in the sandpaper pretty quick. So the trunk was actually fairly easy. I really didn't put too much labor into it. I just kind of lightly glided the sandpaper over everything, and it really cut it down. I think it's gonna shine up nice. I did all the way to 3,000 on this. Tried to avoid the edges the best I could. But the next thing I'm gonna tackle is the hood. That's really the worst spot. I wanna see how good I can get that thing done. So that's my goal. I'm gonna get after it. All right, guys, everything is sanded. I'm hoping I didn't burn through any clear coat. I don't think I did. I might have some places. I really don't know. It all looks to be good. We're gonna find out in a little bit. But now what I'd like to do is just buff the whole thing. I'm gonna start with a cutting compound. I'm gonna start up at the roof and then work my way down. I didn't end up sanding the bumpers. You don't need to make them perfectly reflective. I think it's better to just leave them instead of risking burning through it, especially since it's plastic. I increase my chances of messing it all up. But right now, I'm gonna start buffing this whole thing. I'm gonna use rubbing compound on the whole thing. Then I'm gonna come through with a finishing compound. And this time I'm just gonna tape the whole process because I need to get this done. I have about 2 hours until daylight's out, and I have a lot of car to buff and polish. So that's my goal. Let's get at it. All right guys, that's it. The car is buffed with compound and polish, and it looks pretty good. To be honest, I don't know if I should have went through with all the work. It's kind of hard to tell now that I've done it all, but it does look pretty good. Unfortunately, there's still a lot of variation. I gotta learn how to sand equally better. I think I got to do more brickwork in the future. This thing had so much clear coat to try to get off of it that I think I just made like valleys and peaks. This is a mountain range of paint on that hood. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see it all, but just a lot of little dips. And I don't know if I just helped them more accentuated or if I helped the paint look better overall. I can't really tell. But the sides look a heck of a lot better. I think if you look at the glare, definitely this section came out way better. So I guess in the end, I am happy I did it. Definitely down by the rocker panels, looks sharp. This spot that was the second part we found, there was damage and I painted over. Came out really good, especially with the buff. Back end looks sharp. Yeah, all right, okay, all right. I'm happy that I did it. Definitely just takes a lot of work, a lot of time. I am happy I buffed down here because this was the rocker panel. If you guys remember, I did my first like Bondo repair since I was, I think 17, and that one I never finished. I just left it with pink Bondo, never sanded. But I'm pretty happy with how well that came out, especially with the buff. You can't really tell that that's fixed. So I'm very content with that. And again, the shine on the sides just looks really good. I mean, you can see the glare came out really good. I think most of it I bricked down pretty good. I am learning that I have to try to paint this with real paint in a covered garage where there's no heat elements that are drying the paint before it sprays. I can brick it down correctly without annoyed neighbors and yada yada yada, so on and so forth. I'm happy there was a big bump here in the paint that I was able to knock out, and I forgot to show you guys, but there was this giant drop of paint right here, dead smack on the center of the hood. It was like the focal point of the hood. I think I mentioned to you guys that I wasn't going to touch the bumpers just because I definitely felt like I would have burned through. I always end up burning through on the plastic parts for some reason, get a little more aggressive. So I thought it was smarter for me to leave them. They look pretty good. In fact, the clear coat and the actual paint laid on them pretty nice. I really didn't have to brick them down at all. But yeah, so overall, came out pretty good. The next episode, I want to put in the headlights, taillights, grill, mirrors, black trim on the windows, take this thing down to the car wash. I gotta get another power washer, but take this thing down to the car wash, get it cleaned up. Maybe I'll clean it in the next episode, but I also have to start doing the interior. But yeah, guys, I think that is going to be the goal of next episode, try to finish up the interior and just the basic little exterior parts. And I have to find that leak. I was just commenting back to some of you guys on the last video. Still don't know where that leak is. I think it's on the radiator. It looks like there's two tubes either going to the radiator or two transmission lines going to a transmission cooler. Not quite sure, but it's right around that area. So it's either a cracked radiator on the side or the two tubes that might end up going to the radiator. I'm not sure, a little confused. Anyway, that's the goal of the next episode. Try to figure out all those little things, get this thing wrapped up and get ready to be sold. But if you haven't yet, guys, make sure to go down, smash the like button, helps a ton. If you're new to the channel and you haven't yet, make sure to hit subscribe so you can follow along with all the flips that I'm doing. But until next time, guys, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll catch you again on Thursday. Later, guys.